So, creatine, huh? Lots of buzz about this one lately. Good for you for doing your research first, though, especially with all the talk about blood pressure.
Yeah, it seems like everyone and their grandma is trying it these days, right?
Seriously.
Hmm.
From what I've seen at the gym to, those fitness gurus online, everyone's talking about it. But when it comes to our health, gotta be careful, right?
Yeah.
Can't just jump on every trend.
You're telling me. And that's where things get interesting, especially with these articles you've got here. The MT Spot, Lucid, creatine gummies, they all dive into the benefits, the risks, but there's no easy answer.
Which is honestly a little frustrating when you're just trying to figure out if it's right for you.
Exactly. But that's why we're here, right? To break it all down.
Exactly. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is creatine anyway, besides, the latest fitness craze?
Right, gotta cut through the hype. Well, at its core, creatine is actually a natural compound. Your body produces it mainly in the muscles. It helps with energy production.
So like a natural energy drink for your muscles.
Yeah,
No wonder athletes love the stuff.
you got it. It all comes down to this molecule called ATP adenosine triphosphate. Big word, I know.
ATP. Got it.
Gee,
Sounds impressive. I'll give you that.
chuckles. Right. So ATP is basically the primary energy currency of our cells, especially during those short bursts of intense activity like weightlifting or sprinting.
Okay, so I'm picturing like my muscles running out of juice mid-workout and creatine's there to pick up the slack.
Exactly. Think of it as that extra push your muscles need to power through those tough workouts. It helps replenish ATP quickly so you can keep going stronger for longer.
Got it, like a backup generator kicking in when your main power source is running low.
Perfect analogy.
Okay, so we've got the muscle part down, but I was skimming through one of these articles. I think it was creatine gummies, and they mentioned it might not just be about muscles, something about brain power too.
Oh, you're definitely onto something there. While most people associate creatine with physical performance, there's growing research into its potential cognitive benefits as well.
Brain boosting powers too. Now that's interesting.
Right. Some studies suggest that creatine supplementation could potentially enhance things like memory, focus, and even processing speed. It's still early days in terms of research, but the findings are definitely intriguing.
Okay, so we've got this natural compound that can potentially make us both physically and mentally sharper. Almost sounds too good to be true, right? And that's probably where this whole blood pressure question comes in. Which brings us to the big question, right? Does it mess with your blood pressure?
The million-dollar question, and honestly, the research isn't as clear-cut as you might hope.
Oh, great. So more confusion.
Kind of, yeah. Some studies show no significant impact on blood pressure, while others suggest there might be some risks. It's a bit of a mixed bag, honestly.
Okay, well, that's not super helpful for someone trying to, actually make a decision about taking creatine.
You're right, so let's unpack it a bit. One study, I think the MT Spot mentioned it, found that creatine didn't really affect blood pressure in a group of college-aged men.
Oh, so it's fine then. Problem solved.
Well, not so fast. There's a catch.
There's always a catch.
Right. In this case, the catch is that those participants, they were all young and healthy, no history of high blood pressure or other health issues.
So great for college athletes, maybe not so much for the rest of us.
Exactly. And that's a perfect example of why just looking at a study's conclusion isn't enough. It's about the details.
And the fact that we're not all 20-year-old athletes anymore, unfortunately.
Right. So it's not just, does creatine raise blood pressure? It's, does creatine raise blood pressure for me?
Okay, yeah, that makes way more sense. Personalized health, everyone's talking about that these days.
Exactly. And that's why, before you even think about adding creatine to your routine, the most important thing is to talk to your doctor.
Non-negotiable, right?
100%. They can look at your medical history, any medications you're on, all that good stuff, and help you figure out if creatine's a good fit for you.
Okay, so consider this your official permission slip to hit pause on this deep dive right now and go schedule that doctor's appointment.
Seriously, we'll be here when you get back. Your health is worth it.
Absolutely. Now, let's say you've had that chat with your doctor and they give you the green light. What else do you need to keep in mind?
Well, even with a doctor's okay, it's not like you're totally in the clear. Lucid made a good point about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they talk about how there are a bunch of factors that can influence how creatine affects you personally, like the dosage, for instance. Taking higher doses might increase the risk of some of those potential side effects we touched on earlier.
Side effects, like what? Remind me.
Right, so we're talking about things like potential strain on the kidneys or even changes in how your blood vessels function.
Hold on, back up. Kidneys, blood vessels, that sounds kind of serious. What's the connection there?
So there's this theory that taking creatine, especially in large amounts or for a long time, might put extra stress on your kidneys.
Okay, and kidneys are involved in blood pressure
E-
somehow, right?
Exactly. Your kidneys are kind of like your body's filtration system. They play a huge role in regulating blood pressure, so if they're overworked, it could potentially affect your blood pressure too.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the blood vessels?
Remember how we talked about creatine potentially causing your body to hold on to more water?
Yeah, like water retention, right?
Exactly. And when you retain more water, it increases the volume of your blood.
More fluid, more pressure.
Right. That increased volume puts more pressure on your blood vessel walls, which can lead to a rise in blood pressure.
So it's not necessarily the creatine itself directly raising blood pressure. It's more like it might set off these other things in your body that do.
Exactly. And the thing is, everybody's body reacts to those triggers differently.
That's that whole individual variability thing creatine gummies was talking about, right?
Exactly. Your age, your genetics, your overall health, even your lifestyle, they all play a role.
So basically, it's different for everyone, which makes things kind of complicated.
It definitely makes things more complex, that's for sure. There's no one-size-fits-all answer, unfortunately.
Which is where, I guess, knowing your own body and being proactive comes in.
100%. You know yourself best, and paying attention to how you feel, especially when trying something new like creatine, is key.
It's like you could do everything by the book, talk to your doctor, get the green light, start slow, but if you're not paying attention to how your body's actually responding,
Exactly. You might miss those subtle signs that something's off.
and that's what Lucid was getting at with that whole monitoring thing, right?
Mm.
Like, are you actually tracking your blood pressure if you're taking creatine?
They brought up a really good point. Just because your blood pressure looks good at the doctor's office doesn't mean it's always going to be fine. Our bodies change, our lifestyles change, things happen.
So regular checkups are a must, even if you feel fine.
Absolutely. It's always better to be safe than sorry, right?
For sure. And those home blood pressure monitors, those seem pretty handy for this kind of thing.
They're a game changer. Relatively inexpensive, easy to use, and they give you that concrete data to track your progress and share with your doctor.
Yeah, like having a record of how you're doing over time, not just a snapshot from one doctor's visit.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, right?
Yeah,
But it's what we do with that knowledge that makes all the difference.
I love that. So to wrap things up, it seems like the key takeaway here is to be informed, be proactive, and listen to your body. Oh, and talk to your doctor. Always talk to your doctor.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Your health is worth the effort.
Couldn't agree more. And on that note, that wraps up our deep dive into creatine and blood pressure. We hope this has given you some things to think about. Until next time.